The common thread with a lot of people who are getting into running is hitting a wall. When you were getting into those ultra marathons or just competing in your first marathon, what did your wall look like? What mile marker, and how were you able to persevere through that wall so you could actually run to that finish line? Because
Well,
when I was running that marathon, that 18-mile marker whooped my butt. I was like, holy crap. I didn't even think. I was like talking to people beforehand and they're like, yeah, you're gonna hit the wall at some point. And I'm like, I didn't screw the wall. Like, I did Division I sports. I've hit walls, but I've been able to persevere through them pretty solidly. Can you define your wall?
well, and the marathon is any distancing is a couple of walls because reasons why you're hitting the wall. It could be a training issue, it could be a mental issue, or it could be a combination of both. So, give you a little history. Back then, only kind of goofy people ran the marathon back in the 1940s, 50s, 60s. It was a unique individual who ran that. Not nowadays where you have everybody out there. It's amazing. You have 20,000 people run this 26-mile race. So no one really ran more than a lot of miles. So 20 miles was always thought to be the wall, the barrier type of thing. Okay, the race starts at 20 miles, and then the last 6 miles you're actually racing. And so there is a wall of that. Hey, you're running out of sugar, you're running out of energy. That physical wall where your body can only store so much glucose in its body, and boom, you hit that wall. Or it could be just mentally, hey, I've been on my feet now for a couple hours, and bam, I'm hitting that mental kind of wall. That has to be broken by your training. So when I was training for the marathon, I got to a point where I was running 120 miles a week, 100 miles a week, 120 miles a week. So I'm running 5 miles in the morning. I'm going to work. I'm working all day. I come back and I'm running a 12-mile, workout, whatever the workout is. And I'm achieving that. You're not doing that all year, but you're doing that for maybe a 3-month period before you do your marathon. So you're training your body to get beyond that wall just there. And then you learn about it through science. You learn, like, back in our day, we didn't have Gatorade or we didn't have all this stuff that you kind of take, gels, that kind of thing. So you had to kind of like go out there on your own experiments. So we used to shake up a bunch of Coke, right? You shake up some Coke, you defizz it, take the bubbles out of it. And that was your quote unquote Gatorade. You put that out there when your training runs, you do a 3 hour training run. And, every hour or so you drink some of that Coke and with some water. Well, that was archaic, you think now, but that was what we learned back then. So you did it through science, and then your training runs is what gets you to that mental wall. The more you can do that. You did your first marathon, right? My first marathon I did when I was 17 years old. So it was down in Philadelphia. I was a high school goofy kind of kid, but we were running 60 miles a week in high school. You know what I mean? So I was doing my marathon training in high school, but I still hit a wall. I hit that wall right around 18 miles because I was never out there. And I dropped out. I dropped out my first marathon when I was like 23 miles. My calves were cramped up. It was a horrible day, and I didn't finish. But then the next marathon I did was a year later, and I did achieve it. I learned from that first mistake, that wall. I still hit a wall the second time, but I pushed through it, and I did pretty good for still being a high school kid.